everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's live session on Education Assistant Diploma at Ashton College. My name is Pamela, and I'm part of the marketing team here. I'll be your host this afternoon. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Giovanna Rose-Grande, one of our instructors for this program. In this session, we'll explore Giovanna's background and experience, discuss the structure and highlights of the Educational Assistant Diploma, talk about the essential skills in the field, and review the type of career opportunities available after graduation. Feel free to submit your questions using the chat or the Q&A feature at the bottom on your screen. We'll do our best to answer any questions that might occur during the session. If you would like more information about the program, how to apply, or Ashton College in general, you'll find helpful links in the resourceful section or in the video description if you're watching from YouTube. Let's kick off. Can you give us a short breakdown on the educational assistant field and what it involves?
So I've been an educational assistant for quite a while. So what I've experienced is that it's a very broad field. So there are a variety of students. Typically, you think it's just a certain type of student that needs support, but there's a very broad group of students who would need support. And so you would learn things as you go along. Usually there's professional development within school districts that will help to focus you. So you're going to get from Ashton a very broad understanding of the school population that you'll be joining, and then you build on that. It's fantastic. It's fantastic, and you'll never be bored, that's for sure. It's a very interesting field, and the kids are super engaging and will teach you something every day. So if you love learning and you love helping people to learn, this is the field for you, for sure.
Thank you for kicking it off. Can you tell us a bit about your career, educational background, and why you choose this work to work at in this field?
Well, I was I didn't initially think I was going to become an educational assistant because I was a science geek for most of my life. And then I had a child who had a disability, my second child. And when she did, I learned a great deal. And being a student myself, I learned more about the disability, and then I was able to help her teachers. I actually ended up having 5 children. So between all those classrooms that I was supporting, I had a good idea and good experiences with other students as well. But that's what initially got me into the field. So supporting the teachers that supported my children. And I had 2 of the 5 that had exceptionalities or challenges to grasping the curriculum. So that's what was my door into the field, because then I had a principal say, because I was volunteering, principal say to me, you know, this is a field you could work in. You're basically doing the job. And so she encouraged me to get the training, and I'm so glad I did. The training just gave me so much insight into all the other students I was helping as well. So you'll enjoy that. And if you love learning new things and intriguing things, this is the field for sure.
Wow, that's so motivating. Thank you so much for sharing that. Can you tell us a bit about the Educational Assistant Diploma program at Ashton College?
The program at Ashton has been a very broad program, and that's perfect because the field is a very broad field. You're going to learn a foundation of many different challenges that you would support, and understanding the background and why you need to approach kids a certain way who have maybe this type of challenge or that type of challenge, So that foundation is excellent. And you usually start learning the psychology behind learning and teaching and understanding challenges and what the source of the challenge is, biologically and chemically and whatnot. It's fantastic. Yeah, very intriguing. And sorry, I'm a science geek, obviously. So those are the things I really quite enjoy. And I
No,
hope you do too.
it's very fascinating see you merge those two interests in your life. Well, beside what you told us already, what do you consider is your favorite part of the program, and what will students benefit the most?
Well, flexibility. This program is very flexible. So you have some classes where you are in person and some that are taped and you will work on your own. Um, and even the in-person course classes will be taped. So, for instance, you have a conflict. Perhaps you're in a different time zone when it's live, and this has happened. So, you're in a different time zone when it's live. So, that means that you're going to watch the filmed version or the recorded version, and then you'll still be able to do the assignments, and we're going to interact and bring you in as much as we can into the class, so you won't feel isolated. That's for sure. Other challenges I've noticed that students have had that we've overcome have been work schedules, and that can be tricky, and that's fine. You know, you'll have students who have to drive to work while we're in session, and they'll just switch to their phone, and we'll continue. They'll continue being part of the class and continue once they get to where they're going, whether it's home or work or whatnot. So the flexibility, it can't be beat, especially, as parents, often parents will go into this field because they've been introduced to this whole different world when they have a child who's maybe facing challenges, and they'll realize that they could actually make their life more manageable, is how I viewed it, because you're going to work, your child is going to school. When you're done work, they're done school. So as a parent, this is a fantastic field. When they have days off, sometimes you have extra training, but a lot of times you have the same days off. So as a parent, it's an excellent field to go into. And many people who've joined us have been second career moms, for instance, or dads who are already nurses or ECEs or something like that from where they've come from. Perhaps they've immigrated to Canada and they want to switch into a different field. Perfect. This is the perfect field. Your children are at school that while you're working, and then when the day is over, you all head home, and it works out well. It makes your day more manageable.
That sounds, you already sold it to me.
Okay.
And as a teacher, would you, or how would you describe your teaching style?
I'm more of a facilitator. I tend to be more of a facilitator. I think everybody naturally is curious and wants to learn. And so all I do is facilitate your ability to understand something doesn't is new to you or whatnot. I'll help to maybe present it a different way, um, or approach it from a different angle. Yeah, and that's what I do. I facilitate. Yeah.
That sounds good. What are your expectations of students in this program, and how much time will student need to dedicate each week to be successful? Well, in your experience.
Oh, it's been, you know, just like the kids we support abroad. So we're the people that become EAs. So we have students who have themselves learning challenges. And so they may process the information a bit slower. And then you have some who are just natural sponges. Very rarely, but the odd person you'll find they're just sponges and they just can work much quicker. So I'm going to say that as adults, really, you just have to schedule. You schedule yourself based on how you've experienced your learning. So if you're seeing a class, perhaps you have a chapter that you have to read and you're not sure how you're going to do that. Well, I had people listen to it. So the ebooks, and they'll listen to them. Um, and or they will scan them after the kids are gone to bed and then join the class. So really it depends on how you're going to schedule yourself, and based on how you've experienced. Do you take longer to learn and understand something? Well, you're going to have to schedule a bigger amount of time. So more days perhaps, or maybe more time, um, or even a different time. For instance, when you're less distracted. Um, it's really, I think I hate to do a hard and fast rule, because even in school I've not experienced that. I don't I Every learner is very individual, and so we ourselves have to flex and for ourselves. So we have to be knowledgeable about that with our learners, understanding that our learners are going to be of all different
Type
types
of
of
learner, yeah.
processing. Yes, yes, all different. So, yeah, I think we've got a great program that is flexible in itself. And I think our learners are knowledgeable in their own speeds and will handle it based on what they've experienced.
Great. What are some career options or typical next steps for students after they graduated from this program?
I'm going to use myself as an example, but I went right into a school district and began working. You'll find that there's no shortage of jobs in school districts. They are in need of educational assistance as the populations increase in all of the areas, urban areas. And they would use, oh my goodness, sometimes people hesitate to work in a school. Perhaps they've come from a different area of the world and they think, oh, my English isn't good enough. I'm going to tell you something. The children are also coming from all areas of the world. So you bring your second language to your job, and you're going to make some child's day, because they just when you try, I know I've tried to speak a second language, and you can't quite say as much as you'd like to say. It's very limited. And so when you can speak your native language, you can just talk and talk and talk. And so when you meet a child who perhaps has the same language background, they're thrilled to have somebody working in the school who they can just talk to without having to think about it. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of options out there. And if you have more than one language, that's a strength. So please bring it and don't try to hide it away. Bring it. Let the kids know that you speak another language. I've had experience also working in um, supporting students. Okay, most students, I'm going to explain this, that most times you'll have students flexibility from pre-K all the way to the age of 21. If a student doesn't want to continue to the age of 21, they have an exceptionality and they don't want to continue to the age of 21, that's fine. They can graduate with um, the regular around 18 or so, but they are welcome to stay longer. So what I've experienced is that I've been able to work in, for instance, a youth detention facility where students have exceptionalities but have not reached the age of 21, and so still need support and are entitled to an education. That's another field you could help students with. So not in the school district necessarily, but in a satellite school from your school district that's within a youth detention facility. I've also been able to support students in a hospital where there's a satellite school of the school district. So those students have been brought in, for instance, for maybe in the psychiatric area of the hospital where they're getting treatment and getting help. But there's also need for students, for supporting students who have medically fragile conditions. So if your background is, say, was nursing where you came from, you're going to be used in that field. So there's honestly a lot of different venues to go in. As many areas as you have children or young adults, those areas can use educational assistants to help the students in those areas. It's quite a broad field. Honestly, it's very broad.
Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like empathy is a great or a very big deal in this field. And yeah, well, based on that, in your opinion, what are the most essential skills or qualities needed to be successful in this field?
Yeah, well, empathy for sure. Yeah, it's a great, yes. I'm going to say compassion, adaptability. So you have to be able to adapt. Tenacity, so not giving up too quickly. Curiosity. Kids will make you curious. Something may be interesting. For instance, I worked with a student once who would close his eye on the side I was sitting on. So I would be sitting over here and he would be closing this eye. And I noticed this, and it happened a few times. Nice young man. And after he'd gone to lunch, I said to the teacher, I noticed he's closing the eye that I'm sitting on. And he said, "Oh, it's because you're wearing a red sweater. He's very sensitive to color." Like, you never know. You have to be curious. You have to be curious, but because we think of things on our sensory, how we sense them, colors and whatnot, the intensity, but other people hear and see things slightly differently. And that plays into how we interact with them. Anyway, so you have to be curious for sure. Humble, because kids will tell you what they think and you have to accept it. If they're telling you something, you have to think about what they're saying and then it's not going to be it's my way or the highway, that's for sure, because you don't know everything and the children will teach you things, and that learning is valuable. So listen to it. How they're experiencing the world, it's different than how we're experiencing the world, so we have to hear them, and you'll learn a lot by being humble about it and being optimistic. Oy, oy, oy. Sometimes kids just need a bit of hope, you know? So, so you go and you be optimistic and you show them the ray of light at the end of the tunnel, that is school. And that it'll be okay. So I'm going to say those are my main ones. So compassion, adaptability, tenacity, curiosity, humility, and optimism. So I'm going to say CATCHO. Okay? Catch cho. Okay,
Oh my
I
God,
made
that
that.
sounds so good. And yeah,
Okay.
definitely, I think I love the idea of just keep learning from them, new things. Yeah, just being open to the fact that you don't know anything. I love that. Um, what's a typical day in the life of someone working as an educational assistant? I know it may be a little bit hectic, but
Oh, it's
if you could
not to, there's
describe it.
unless, okay, honestly, Pamela, like maybe there is a typical day where if you take a job and you're in the same class with the same students, because you'll be have students, maybe I call them my asterisk students. So they've got a little asterisk because you have to keep a special eye on them. They need a little bit more support than the other students. And you'll usually, move around the class and you'll end up in a routine. I tended to be a person who liked challenge. So I would, and I'm saying that and trying to be positive too about the way I think, but I love learning new things. So I would change as many times as I could in positions. So if there was an opportunity to try something new, I would jump at it because I was going to learn something new, something maybe challenging, a learning that I thought I understood, and then you learn a little bit more, you get a little bit more depth, a little bit broadening of your knowledge. So if you are open to challenges and you don't mind not being 100% sure what your day is going to look like, then you do that. You work as a casual or you take LTOs. Now, LTOs mean they're long-term occasional. So, for instance, you have an EA who's in a position and she needs surgery. She's going to be off for a minute, maybe for a few weeks, maybe even a couple months. She needs someone in there, same person, that's an LTO. So you're going to be stepping in there. Then there's casual. Now, casual is when people are calling in sick, and then you can move around. You know, today you're going to be at one school. That's a great way to start, in my opinion, because you get an idea of the culture of different schools and administrators, and you see what type of schools you like and what type you would rather, not do as much. So, whether you really like kindergarten or you love high school or you like working in maybe fields where you're doing skills training, working in an auto shop or working in the kitchen. High schools have a lot of variety in different areas where EAs work. So if you have like a love of different types of skills, you could pick up some while supporting other students. It's quite interesting. So I found typical day for me was not knowing where I was going to go because I love casual. I love the surprise of knowing I'm going to have to meet a new student, find out about their day and figure things out as the day went. And those were my favorite days. And it's a needed field to be an EA who is a casual. Casuals are needed. EAs get sick.
Yeah.
Kids cough on them, so they get sick too. So
No, yeah, being spontaneous in your day, I think it's a good thing to try.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to students who are new to the field?
Oh, in my opinion, I think they should try as many different things as they can. Just be curious about the different areas you could work in. Be curious because everybody's a little different, right? Just like everybody doesn't like the same type of foods. I have 5 kids, and when you have to have all 5 of them, you have to think about who's allergic to what and all that. Well, that's the kind of thing I think we have to realize about ourselves. Not every ben, workplace is going to be our dream job. So you want to find the area where you fit and you feel at home. And you will. There'll be more than one, but but you will. I know with me, the first schools I went to were the ones I actually had gone to as a child. So I went to those. It's just sentimentality, isn't it? But that's what I did. That's where I started, worked in the high school I went to and whatnot. And then I broadened out and went to more schools, and you meet so many EAs. You'll be part of a team, and you'll feel quite supported. And actually, I found that some of the principals I had recognize the fact that I'm not really afraid, and they'll see the strengths in you. That's their job as administrators, to look at their employees and say, you know what, this one is not afraid. I'm going to put her into new positions that maybe we don't have somebody yet, and they would move me around, and I enjoyed that. Some people maybe don't enjoy that as much, and your administrators will figure that out, that you prefer to stay and learn. Some of the tips I would also give them is that if you have an issue with memory, then when you leave your work for the day on a break or whatever, you just make yourself some notes and you put them away. The teacher's name, the kids' names that you were working with, you put them to the side for yourself for the next day. Eventually, you're not going to need it. But the first day, you're kind of anxious, new job, kind of like first day of school for you too. So make yourself some notes and then put them away when you don't need them anymore.
Thank you for
I think
sharing that. That sounds like a great advice. And I think that would be, well, some of it can be applied to your life in general, which it's exciting. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to add that we haven't covered yet?
I don't think so. I think I have covered everything I was thinking that you guys need to hear. But
Oh,
of course, there's going to be questions, so I'm
yes,
looking forward to that.
that's exactly where we're going.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
let's take a look at our audience questions. If we have any questions coming, let us see. Well, we have one for you. What
Okay.
challenges did you face when you first start working as an education assistant? And how do you, well, first of all, how do you overcome them? And then what tools help you early in your career?
Okay. So at first, I found that some of the students I worked with weren't necessarily prepared. So they didn't have a pencil, or they didn't have an eraser, they didn't have this, or they didn't have that. So I made myself a bag. I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you guys see this? Okay.
Yeah.
So just got myself a backpack. And in the backpack, I have crayons, and I have an eraser and a pencil sharpener and highlighters, markers, rulers, calculators, anything that I've noticed along the way that students had missing. So they didn't necessarily have them. Not every school is going to have students who um, have a lot of resources in their family. So it makes sense to have your own that you can share, whether it be pencils or pens or erasers, whatever. So if you have a little backpack and you put some extra school supplies in there, you bring it with you from place to place, and then you share with your students that you're supporting. Um, of course, you're going to have some schools where it's high SES, and it's everybody's got the perfect pencil box and the perfect everything, and you won't need your supplies. But that's something that you will notice. And then if you do that ahead of time, you won't have to scramble and try to find them. You'll have them with you when you're at your placement.
I love
So
it.
what other challenges? Hmm. The other challenge I think was that, believe it or not, because I don't seem like I'm shy now, I used to be a very shy person, and I would get anxious meeting new people. And because of that, I leaned into being a casual because I'm sure you guys know this, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. Um, when you have a challenge, something that makes you nervous, if you avoid it, it actually gets worse. Whatever it was you're nervous about. So if you confront it or you take the bull by the horns, I'm sure that's a statement you maybe have heard. You see something that is making you anxious and you approach it. And that's the way I looked at meeting new people and new students and new situations. So being a casual was fantastic for me. It taught me not to be nervous, not to be afraid, that it was okay to meet new people and whatnot. So I'm not shy anymore. But that was at first I was pretty shy. So
I
yeah.
love it. Yeah, definitely. Like whenever you try to avoid something, it comes harder at you. So yeah,
Yes.
totally agree with everything you just said. And I love the preparation. I feel like, yeah, in everything you do, you need to be prepared and I guess put your everything on it too. Well, another question. Do you have any essential tips for online learning specifically that you would well that you think that would help students succeed in this program?
Scheduling. Just like you schedule work, or you schedule you've got to do your groceries, or you schedule you've got to pick up your kids, or you schedule anything that you need done, you schedule. No different. There's no difference here. So if you need to study or you need to read something or prepare an assignment, you schedule it. And once it's in your calendar, you have put your pop-ups on your phone or whatever tech you have with you, you have it popping up on your calendar. That will help you to keep on top of things. Don't procrastinate. It doesn't help. You know, sometimes people get into a habit, and it's just a habit of procrastinating, and then they start thinking, "Oh, I do the best work when I'm under pressure. When the pressure's really hard, I do great work." Well, you also have a time limit. And if you are rushing something and then submitting it, think of how much better that assignment would have been if you had to spread it out and prepared it with time and not rushed it and just slept on it a couple times, as opposed to cramming and trying to get it done all at once. So I'm going to say, just schedule and try to get things started as soon as they're assigned, and then you will not feel that crunch of getting it done just before it needs to be submitted. So that's my favorite one, is scheduling. I'm going to tell you though that some students have a hard time sitting. And so I'm going to suggest that if you could get your textbook on your headphones, and listen to it while you walk. For me, I have a little bit of a hard time sitting as well. So I would go and put my textbook when I was doing my lessons on my elliptical trainer, and then I would read as I walked and be able to have it open in front of me. So scheduling, and find a way, if you're an antsy person, or maybe typically someone has told you that you have a difficulty with attention, you have difficulty staying still, then you find a way of moving while you're learning and while you're doing your readings, and that'll help as well. Okay, but scheduling is going to be my number one.
Yeah, definitely. I think keeping yourself organized is very important in
Oh, for sure.
everything. Yeah. Um, yeah, and our last question would be, what are some common misconceptions that people have about working as an educational assistant in your experience?
I went in pretty blind when I was starting. I've heard people that, they've asked questions like, is it like you clean up after the teacher, or you organize the class? And I'm going to say that sometimes there is a little bit of cleaning. That's not really your job. There's a whole workforce of people in a school who do the cleaning, but sometimes the student you're working with may make a mess, and then you have to clean. So no, you're not, it's not about you cleaning and necessarily doing that kind of thing, although there may be an emergency with your student that you may have to clean something, but oftentimes you're able to just call and you'll get support. So that was, I think, the biggest one, was people would think that you're just basically the gopher. So a gopher, you go and you do, you know, photocopies, or you go and you just run it. But this, why would you need to know all that psychology to do that? You need all the information you're going to learn in this course. You're going to need it all to work with your students, because they're complex and you're working within the curriculum. So this is actually like, you are a para educator. So you're alongside the teacher. You're not alongside the maintenance staff. You're alongside the teacher. Okay. So your job is going to be educational, and you're going to be interacting with the curriculum in a way that the students are going to be able to get understanding, and you're going to help them where they're struggling. So it's a very, very interesting field.
Sounds
Did I answer your
good.
question?
Yes, very good.
Okay.
Everything is so clear. Thank you so much. You even got me a little bit excited about it, a lot excited about it.
Oh, good.
But yeah, thank you, Giovanna, for sharing your insights and experience with us today. It's incredibly valuable for prospective students to hear directly from an instructor like you, with all of your experience, to get a real sense of the program and a better understanding of what it's like to work as an educational assistant. Yeah, and if you're interested in the Educational Assistant Diploma and want to take the next step, feel free to scan the next QR code that will appear on the screen shortly. Giovanna, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. And like I told you, I think we all are very motivated by it. Very energetic. Yeah, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.